Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one, Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Survive and advance, Cavs fans. Welcome to another edition of the Block the Shot the Stop podcast. I'm Kevin Lynch here with Skylar Webker tonight. Skylar, it's good to see you, buddy. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, man, but good to have you back, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's all me. I was MIA for a week, and then now I'm doing like 4 podcasts or parts of podcasts in 4 days, and then I'm gonna go MIA again. But yeah, man.
Good,
No, luckily my absence did not jinx it. The Cavs are still undefeated, moving on to 15-0 after tonight, with a 128-114 over the Charlotte Hornets. Skylar, there's a lot of places we can start. Obviously, Donovan Mitchell being out tonight, you knew it was going to be a different kind of challenge for the Cavs. There other guys were going to have to step up and play increased minutes. What's the first thing that jumps out to you about tonight's game?
Yeah, I thought going into this game, it was just going to be a flyover win. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just get in, get out, get the dub. There were parts of this game, the final box score doesn't show it, but there were parts of this game where it got really close.
Sure. It was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. So the things that stood out to me the most were how much guys stepped up, especially from the starting rotation all the way through till guys were starting to get a little banged up there at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Definitely a war of attrition tonight. Both Isaac Okoro and Dean Wade went out with, I think they both had ankle sprains tonight. Garland came out of the game for a while. Weren't sure if we are going to see him again. Then he did come back in about the last 7 or 8 minutes to help close it out. But I think where we have to start tonight is our guy, Ty Jerome, aka TJ Maxx. I know we asked the question on some of our social media feeds. Is Ty Jerome an all-star? Tongue in cheek, but my gosh, the guy, he gives you everything you need from him that night. And tonight they need a lot from him, and he delivered.
He really did, man. I mean, I don't know if he becomes an all-star just because I don't know if he gets the minutes in and the reps in to pass some of the guys like
I admit he will not be an all-star this year. Usually the 8th guy in a rotation is not an all-star, but he played like one tonight for sure.
I mean, I think he might be challenging Karis LeVert for that 6-man role. I mean,
that I agree with. Yeah.
He just does everything up and down the court. He gives you assists. He can score on his own. He can play defense. I actually had to look it up. The Cavs have an absolute steal on Ty Jerome. 2 years for $5 million.
Yeah, maybe the best contract in the league from a team perspective.
Absolutely. For the amount of value that he gives. I mean, tonight was plus 14, and I feel like that's what he kind of averages, a plus 12, plus 14. You'll have to excuse if my signal goes in and out. The Spectrum has been having issues all day.
You're all good. You're all good. But no, I'm with you. The numbers jump out at you. Phenomenal. 24 points on 9 of 15 shooting, 8 assists tonight. A couple of rebounds, only 2 turnovers, played 32 minutes, which has to be at least season high for him as far as minutes, I'm sure. More so, I felt like he, as much as anybody, made baskets when the Hornets were mounting their comeback. And like I said, they cut it to about 3 in the fourth quarter. And he was the guy, I think he had back-to-back 3-point plays that really put the Cavs back out in front and allowed them to stretch the lead a little bit.
You're right. He was definitely a momentum killer for the Hornets tonight, who I don't know if they made a single 2-point shot all night. I had to look up 53 3-point shots tonight.
Yeah.
Bananas.
That's something for sure. I think the Celtics lead the league at right around 40 attempts a game, but that's an average. Like they 53 tonight, and honestly, it seemed like more. Like you said, like it seems like that's pretty much all they're doing.
Yeah, 52 shots tonight, 102 shots total. 52 of them came from behind the line, behind the arc. I mean, that's more than half.
I know, ridiculous. And so, as far as tonight's game, going back to the Cavs, I think Ty Jerome, we don't do this, but if we gave out a nightly MVP, like he would be the MVP tonight, the way he stepped up and everything. But also the big three that played tonight with Donovan Mitchell being out, Garland, Allen, Mobley, all had really good games, all kind of stepped up at different times. Mobley in particular was a monster on the defensive end. Allen owned the boards for a good portion of the game. What did you see from those three? Or is there any of those three that maybe stood out to you most tonight?
I think they all kind of gave what we needed from them in the sense of, I mean, they all had double-doubles tonight.
Yep.
Let's see, Mobley had 11 rebounds, Allen had 15 rebounds, Garland had 12 assists. Yeah. So they all kind of stepped up in where they needed to be. We were probably missing Donovan Mitchell scoring there for a little stretch of the game, but for the most part, we needed stops, we needed glass, we needed to facilitate. Yep. And those three guys were able to kind of do that, to allow Ty Jerome to be Ty Jerome, to allow Niang to have one of his best nights as a Cavalier.
Back to back. He was awesome Friday night too.
Yeah, he was. Outside of that, I mean, we didn't get too much contribution from some of the other guys that we normally get, like LeVert. Didn't have a great shooting night for him. We got kind of limited minutes from Okoro. Really got tested there towards the third quarter into the fourth quarter of I think we might have 5 guys by the end of this game.
Yeah, and if you'd have told me before the game Donovan Mitchell wasn't playing, we knew that yesterday that he wasn't going to play tonight, and that both Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro were going to get hurt during the game, both play 15 minutes or less, and then also Karis LeVert, who we've hyped up as the leading candidate for Sixth Man of the Year, had one of his worst games of the season, if we're being honest. He just wasn't as aggressive as he usually is. He was just 1 for 5 shooting for 4 points. If you'd have told me all those things, I'd be like, well, I think the Cavs probably took their first loss. But this is a game where we usually talk about they get contributions 1 through 10, 1 through 11, like everybody stepping up at the individual moments. This is the type of game they actually had to lean on a few guys, and they leaned on the big three we talked about, Ty Jerome we talked about, and then the fifth guy that really contributed again tonight, you said it, Georges Niang. Georges Niang, another 13 points, couple rebounds, was very active on the defensive end. He is turning into a really important contributor for this team.
No, he really is. I thought he might have just kind of been a fringe guy at the start of the year, but he's getting more steady minutes. He's getting more steady production on the floor. It's hard to not have Niang coming off the bench, which is challenging because people are using him as the trade to get Larry Nance, and I like that move also.
Yeah, we'll come back to hot stove rumors about the trade market, because it isn't a secret that the Cavs could use a little bit more depth on the inside. And Larry Nance is a name that's been thrown out there, but tonight is another example of, we talked about it, the Cavs just keep winning different ways. And they can win different ways because they have so many guys, 11, 12 guys, and that's not including Max Strus, who hasn't played yet this season, that contribute to this team. And tonight, it wasn't as balanced a contribution as it usually is. Like I said, there was 5 guys in particular that really stepped up. But they just continue to do what they need to do that night to win. And looking kind of at the Hornets tonight, the Hornets are a frisky team is the thing I think of. They're a little bit better than you think. Got a lot of young talent. LaMelo Ball is an incredible talent, even if he's not my favorite player to watch. He is incredibly talented. Brandon Miller also very talented. They got all their starters had 15 or more points tonight. So they were pretty good themselves. And the biggest difference was the fourth quarter. The Cavs outscored the Hornets 26-15 in the fourth quarter. And I think it was like 26-11 with like a minute to go when they pulled all the starters. The Cavs just stepped up when they needed to, and the Hornets kind of faltered a little bit in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I don't know if they faltered as much as, I mean, they took 102 shots tonight. In comparison, the Cavs took 77 shots and still were able to beat them. So I think they were just hitting bad shots throughout the game, and those bad shots weren't falling there towards the fourth quarter. They were taking such bad shots.
These stats make no sense, man. When you look at them, and it kind of felt that way during the game, but when you look at them after the game, the Cavs out-rebounded the Hornets by 9, but somehow the Hornets took 25 more shots. I don't know what exactly happened there that they got that many shots up, but yeah, very, very, very impressive win by the Cavs. Like, I mean, we keep using the same adjectives over and over again with this team, but like, what else can you say? They've won 15-0. They win different ways. They have great stars on their team. They have fantastic role players. They have different guys stepping up every night. Like, you do run out of things to say. And I guess like we'll more look like moving forward. The Cavs, if Dean Wade and Isaac Okoro are out for a little bit because they have sprained ankles and we don't know how the severity and everything, like, how do you think that changes like the rotation, the responsibilities of guys? Is there one or two guys in particular you think would need to step up if both of those guys are absent?
I'm not really sure. Because I mean, I'm just looking through the minutes tonight. Kenny Atkinson still has yet to put somebody over 35 minutes, even without Donovan Mitchell, without Okoro at the end, without Dean Wade at the end. So I don't know how you beat these guys. When they're shorthanded, you can't beat them. When you have a lead, you can't beat them. When it's a close game, you can't beat them. I'm running out of ways to think of how you can beat these guys. The Hornets destroyed the Cavs on turnovers and points off turnover in this game, which is not something we normally see from the Cavs, who lead the league in points off turnovers. The Hornets tried to shoot them out off the floor. And it turned out into pretty much a blowout win to where we got garbage time.
Yep. No, you're right. This Cavs team, the one adversity they haven't had to feel a lot is they've been pretty healthy so far. I know like Dean Wade missed a couple of games and LeVert missed a couple of games and Max Strus hasn't played, but for the most part, their 4 stars have all been healthy. They've all of them have played either every game or all but one game. Most of the rest of the rotation has been healthy and played every night. So like, this could be a new adversity that they haven't faced, to have multiple key guys all out at one time. And instead of playing to the strength of depth, have to play to the strength of talent.
Yeah, that's true. I would say tonight's a pretty telling thing about the Cavs, where their best player on their floor didn't play and they still can win. I don't know how many teams you can say that about. I mean, Magic are kind of trying to figure that out without Paolo. If we look forward to Boston, would they be able to be as dominant as they are if either Tatum and Brown aren't on the floor? What does that team look like without those guys? And we're seeing that this Cavs team the offense can keep humming. This thing is going to keep rolling even without Donovan Mitchell on the floor, without Okoro on the floor, without Strus on the floor.
Yeah, I know we sing his praises a lot, but a lot of this does go to Kenny Atkinson and giving him credit. I mean, if you think about it, they won the last 2 games and got two of their best players, if not their two best players, a night off and got them a little fresher legs. And he was able to manage that. And you wonder like what how, if that might be kind of a trend, like every, say 10 games or so, he tries to give each of those guys a game off just to kind of keep them fresh and everything. But again, it'll be a new challenge if he has to increase minutes with guys or play guys he hasn't had to as much yet. But again, 15-0, just keep on rolling, keep on having a different leading score. We did it again. 15 games, no leading score in consecutive games. We're still
really?
Yes. If you look at the high points for each game this season, they have not had the same high score, the same person lead them in points 2 consecutive games. That speaks to the balance. It's crazy especially when you combine it with the fact that they've had the number 1 offense in the NBA and second place isn't that close.
Yeah, that is wild. That's a crazy stat right there.
Yeah.
That kind of just fires me up.
Well, and it makes and I should, a little aside, we are doing a whole separate episode to preview the game with Boston. So this is one of the biggest games in the NBA season thus far. We're going to have a podcast come out Tuesday morning. We spent some time with the Green with MB guys. They're a part of the Blue Wire Media family. They cover the Celtics. Really nice. Had really good conversations with them. So we do a whole separate episode to preview that. But talking a little bit about the Celtics, in preparation to talk to them, I went back and looked at the playoff series from last year. And before Mitchell got hurt, he was far and away the leading scorer every game in the playoffs. And there was not nearly the amount of balance and everything. So credit Kobe Altman, credit to Kenny Atkinson, credit to the players. They have just continue to find a way to be the best team in the NBA. We have to start calling them that until proven otherwise.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have the right people in the right seats. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, either in business or basketball or anything, like success is almost automatic. It feels like Kenny Atkinson was made to coach this roster. It feels like he has all of the support from the front office. It sounds like the players have a buy-in to the system and know what to do. This is also just another thing to point out. I'm having a hard time remembering a game where most of our players didn't have a positive plus minus. Everybody is consistently contributing in a positive way to the game. I mean, tonight, the only person that doesn't is LeVert with -6. Everybody else is a positive effect in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Cavs are almost through what, honestly, schedule-wise, it will be their toughest stretch of the season. They have played 15 games in 26 days to start the season, gone 15-0. They have a back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday that will put them at 17 games in 29 days. They have not had consecutive days off yet this season, and then the schedule lightens up. They start having 2, 3, sometimes 4 days off between games. If they get past this stretch, and if they get past Boston Tuesday night, it really is, when does this end? We keep saying they're not going to go 82-0, but I'm looking at, if they find a way to beat Boston Tuesday, after that it's New Orleans, Toronto, Atlanta. Not the best teams in the league. Just not picking on them, but it's the truth. And then they play Boston again. So they get past Boston Tuesday night. This thing might run to about 20-0 before we face another top team in the NBA. And
dude, if they get past Boston, I am going to be so annoying on this podcast, online. We might start losing listeners because I'm going to be so fired up and so annoying.
Yeah, no. And let's be honest, playing the Celtics in Boston, especially if they very well may be down a couple guys, it's an incredible challenge. They might lose the game, but if they do get past that one, then who knows? Who knows when this ends? Incredible. And more than anything, they get through this 17 games and 28 days stretch and are still relatively healthy, that is a huge positive for the Cavs season.
Relatively healthy and fresh because nobody is putting in extensive minutes. Those are like, I know we keep talking about minutes, but that's going to really pay off when we get into April, June.
Well, it's an important thing because you look at somebody like the Lakers, and we're not going to be a ESPN show that we have to talk about the Lakers, but they're a good example. They have two star players, one who's 40 and one who's been injury prone most of his career, and they're playing them 40 minutes a night. Like, that's probably not sustainable. The Cavs have much younger, fitter players, but are still playing them, a more reasonable amount of minutes per night, which will allow them to take, less full games, maintain their freshness. And the biggest key is they can continue to keep people's minutes down without the play falling off, because the bench and everything is contributing at such a high level.
Agreed. And I do think the bench contributions, it starts with Ty Jerome. I think he is the spark plug that is keeping that going, keeping the energy high, just proving that he belongs in the NBA, that he deserves to be in the NBA. And I don't know, he's just playing so well right now.
He is. And the thing about Ty Jerome that's so endearing is how hard he plays and how much he wants it and how fired up he is for a regular season NBA game. You don't see that of every NBA player in regular season NBA games.
Not only in regular season games, 15 games into the season.
Yeah. He has been as about a key contributor, or he's been about like just found money as anything you can find. Because Ty Jerome's a guy who's bounced around the league quite a bit. It's like he's never found a home. Played a decent amount the one season with Golden State when Golden State was really bad, had a lot of injuries, but like hadn't found anything resembling like a key role with a good team in his career. And sometimes the guys, the right guy just has to find the right team and everything can click, and you can go from being kind of a 5-6 year journeyman to like a key contributor and probably on the betting slip for 6th man of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's what Iman Shumpert was in the championship team, a guy that bounced around forever and then found a home in Cleveland and was a key contributor in that team.
I like that comparison a lot. He is a guy, you're right, that like early in his career you thought he may be a little bit better than he turned out being, jumped around, wasn't sure how much longer he'd stay in the NBA, found the right team to contribute on. And that's exactly what's happening with Ty Jerome. And I think Ty Jerome is very lucky to have the Cavs, and the Cavs are very lucky to have Ty Jerome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, with that, you got any more thoughts on the game tonight? I mean, if not, we can end a few minutes early because we are going to put out a big preview for the Boston game. But any more thoughts on tonight before we wrap up here, Skylar?
I'm so happy that we're 15-0. The Cavs for all. The uniforms and the City Connect were awesome tonight. That court is so fun.
The powder blue is always just a phenomenal jersey, like color. They looked phenomenal. It actually took me about 30 seconds to realize it was the Cavs in those jerseys and not the Hornets.
Yeah, there's a little learning curve on that one.
Yeah, a little learning curve. But then once I got that established, I'm like, yeah, those do look some pretty sweet jerseys. And it's just fun to mix it up a little bit, even if it's something like the jerseys and the courts and everything. And they play just as well in those jerseys as they do in the traditional ones.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, so I want to see more, but they only get 6 games in them this year. Yeah,
absolutely. And I would end by saying, Cavs fans, enjoy this. They're 15-0. Like, life's short, like, and this is such a great ride. Like, let's keep riding it. Like, whatever happens in Boston, if they win, let's celebrate. If they lose, let's start another streak the next day, and go right there. So with that, we'll get out of here. For Skylar Webker, I'm Kevin Lynch. Thank you so much for listening.
Go Cavs.